Hello, I'm Craig Brailsford. Welcome to another episode of Small Stocks, Big Money. For those of you new to the show, RedChip is an investor relations, media, and research firm focused on emerging growth companies. Our unique platform combines global multimedia with traditional investor relations, reaching investors around the world. Now, today's show features interviews with the executives of two public companies. First up is 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals, a growth-oriented biotechnology company with a goal of using cutting-edge biological science and applied research to further develop and commercialize new therapies for the prevention and treatment of infectious diseases. 60 Degrees Pharma has successfully achieved regulatory approval of Aracota, that's tafenoquine, a malaria preventative treatment that has been on the market since late 2019. Currently, 60 Degree Pharma's pipeline includes development programs for tafenoquine and kelgosivir, targeting fungal, tick-borne, and other viral diseases. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. Up next is Can-Fite Biopharma, an advanced clinical stage drug development company with a platform of oral drugs designed to address multi-billion-dollar markets in the treatment of oncology and inflammatory diseases. The company's lead drug candidate, piclidenoson, recently reported top-line results in a phase 3 trial for psoriasis. Can-Fite's liver drug, namodenoson, is being evaluated in a phase 2b trial for the treatment of MASH and a phase 3 trial for hepatocellular carcinoma, or HCC. The company is also planning a phase 2a study in pancreatic cancer. Namodenoson has been granted orphan drug designation in the United States and Europe and fast track designation as a second-line treatment for HCC by the United States Food and Drug Administration. Namodenoson has also shown proof of concept to potentially treat other cancers, including colon, prostate, and melanoma. CF602, the company's third drug candidate, has shown efficacy in the treatment of erectile dysfunction. These drugs have an excellent safety profile with experience in more than 1,600 patients in clinical studies to date. We'll learn more when we speak with the CEO later in the show. Now, before we get to the first interview, our quote of the week, it comes from the book, Small Stocks, Big Money. The hardest part of raising capital for CPI was that we were totally unknown. I was a young Puerto Rican living in Minneapolis, a land of Midwesterners. I had no previous history in manufacturing or inventing anything. Imagine you go to an investor and say, "We're going to make a better pacemaker." And they say, "Doesn't Medtronic make a pacemaker?" This quote comes from Manny Villafana of Kips Bay Medical, and it is featured in Chapter 11 of Small Stocks, Big Money, a book of exclusive interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon today for just $18. Now, let's get started with our first interview today with 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals. Hello, today we've got Jeff Dow, the CEO, President, and Director of 60 Degrees Pharma. Jeff, great to have you back.
Greg, great to see you again, and thanks for the opportunity to speak today.
Jeff, start with an introduction. What is 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals? And introduce us, please, to its lead drug, Aracota. We want to know, how did the company evolve from developing this FDA-approved malaria prevention drug to pursuing treatments for other infectious diseases, such as babesiosis?
So, Greg, we at 60 Degrees Pharma are focused on developing new products for infectious disease. We were very fortunate in 2018 to secure regulatory approval for Aracota for malaria prevention in the US. And since then, we've learned from the scientific literature, both patients and the non-clinical literature, that Aracota actually has some activity against babesiosis, which is a tick-borne disease transmitted by the same ticks that transmit Lyme disease. And so basically, one of the advantages of having an approved product, particularly if you think it works at the same dose against a new indication, is that it's much more cost-effective and less risky to generate the new data to seek regulatory approval for a new disease. And that's what we're attempting to do with babesiosis and ARAKODA in the coming years.
You know, congratulations, of course, on the medical insights that gave you a clue that ARAKODA could be useful against babesiosis. But of course, there has to be a commercial strategy as well. So what is that?
So our first commercial strategy is to get to profitability with the malaria prevention indication. And to do that, we've partnered with a commercial sales organization to do a pilot commercial project in the first half of next year, where we'll hire a couple of virtual sales representatives who will market the product to malaria prescribers. So we'll be growing the existing malaria prevention market. And then in parallel with that, we're going to do 3 small targeted babesiosis clinical trials, which will generate the data we need to go back to the FDA and seek approval for babesiosis as a new therapeutic area.
Now, what are you going to tell the FDA and what are you going to tell the world about ARAKODA and how it's better for treating malaria and babesiosis? What are some, say, clinical or maybe convenience advantages that position it?
So, of course, for malaria prevention, the market-leading product is a daily product. That means you have to remember to take the product every day while you're traveling. I personally and many other travelers find that quite inconvenient because I'm not very good at remembering a daily dose. ARAKODA is a weekly product, so it has that key advantage. And then the other thing that people worry about is relapsing malaria and drug resistance in some parts of the world. We don't have those problems with ARAKODA, which means it's kind of a one-stop shop for most travelers to most parts of the world.
Now, turning to the malaria prevention market, what are the specific tactics or partnerships that you are employing to drive growth and awareness?
So we know a lot about the malaria market already. We know that patients and physicians like the target product profile of ARAKODA, but brand awareness is low because we haven't done much commercialization of the product yet. So what we're going to do is partner with a large commercial sales organization to go out and share the message about the features and benefits of ARAKODA to existing malaria prescribers. And then assuming that commercial pilot program that we're going to do in the first half of next year is successful, then we'll scale up from there to reach a much larger market.
Investors, Jeff, always looking out for catalysts, milestones. What should they be looking out for when it comes to 60 Degrees?
So we think we're going to have some important news to announce regarding patient recruitment by the middle of next year. We will have made substantial progress on some of the smaller research projects which we've undertaken this year, and they'll kind of hit the bubble or the envelope in the second quarter of next year. And then, as you know from looking at our 10Qs, we've had pretty good sales growth and interesting commercial information to share with the market over the last few cycles. And we'll be doing similar kinds of reporting in the near future.
Jeff, going to go back to ask you one more question about ARAKODA because we know how important it is to 60 Degrees. What are some next steps in your clinical trials that you could tell us about and the impact that they could have?
Yeah, so the Yale study that came out this year is really important, and both from the company's perspective, but also for patients. If you're immunosuppressed and you get relapsing babesiosis, it's because the standard of care drugs failed. It puts you at risk of rehospitalization. And what that Yale study found is that when you add ARAKODA to existing standard of care, it cured 4 out of 5 patients. We think that should be in the ARAKODA label, but we've got to generate the data to prove it to the FDA's satisfaction. And so that's what we're focused on doing in the next 12 months.
Now, Jeff, you've got an FDA-approved drug, obviously. ARAKODA, it's FDA-approved for malaria. Talk to us about its possible uses, like right now, for babesiosis.
Yeah, so Greg, it's pretty interesting. So we know from the literature that because it's published that physicians have already started using Aricoda or tafenoquine to treat relapsing babesiosis. And this is a disease in immunosuppressed patients, which is life-threatening. They've usually been through several courses of treatment first. And that published study by Yale showed that 80% of those patients who combine their standard of care medication with a regimen of tafenoquine for several months, 80% of those patients were cured. We're doing a clinical program to try and prove that to FDA's requirements. And then when we're done with that research, we'll go to the agency and try and validate the literature with hard data that the FDA can buy off on.
All right, Jeff, please send us off with the essential value proposition. Tell our viewers, why should they take an interest in 60 Degrees Pharma right now?
Well, we're probably the smallest NASDAQ-listed company with an FDA-approved pharmaceutical product. The risk is low and the capital investment is low to go from where we are now to greater commercial sales, both for the approved indication and for new diseases in the future.
It's a great story, Jeff. Thank you for sharing it with us.
Thanks a lot, Greg. I'll see you next time.
Now, to get more information on 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals, visit SXTPinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at redchip.com, featuring emerging growth companies like 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small-cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, visit redchip.com and subscribe today. In addition to our newsletter, you can also order your copy of Small Stocks, Big Money, a book written by RedChip CEO, featuring interviews with some of the biggest players in the microcap space. Order your copy on Amazon today for just $18. Now, let's move on to our next interview today with Can-Fite Biopharma. Hello, we're here with Matti Farbstein, the Chief Executive Officer of Can-Fite. Matti, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Can-Fite has a unique platform and a pipeline addressing oncological and inflammatory diseases. Start with a brief overview of your current development programs.
So we have two drugs in the clinic. The first one is the piclidenoson. We are about to initiate a pivotal phase 3 study for psoriasis that was agreed with the FDA and the EMA. The second disease is Lowe syndrome, which is a rare disease, and we are about to initiate a phase 2. And the third indication, we have a partner, a French company that took piclidenoson globally to develop it for pet osteoarthritis, and they just exercised the option in the licensing agreement for, following a positive phase 2 data in animals. The second indication is namodenoson. We are enrolling patients to a pivotal phase 3 study in advanced liver cancer that was agreed with the FDA and the EMA. Today, we enrolled the first patient to a phase 2A in pancreatic cancer. And the last indication is MASH, where there is an ongoing phase 2B following a very successful phase 2A. In addition, we have a preclinical program, erectile dysfunction, with the CF602.
Matti, piclidenoson has a remarkable number of applications. I want to know more about the market for psoriasis and osteoarthritis.
Sure. So the psoriasis drug market is forecasted to grow to $32 billion by 2028, according to the estimate by Evaluate. And the pet osteoarthritis market for the companion animal is estimated to be $3.8 billion by 2023 and is expected to grow to 6.3 billion by 2030.
Now, Madi, you recently announced positive results from a clinical study in dogs with osteoarthritis, and that led to a partnership with Vetbiolix. What can you tell us about the significance of that partnership?
Can-Fite and Vetbiolix model that piclidenoson has the potential to capture up to 6% of the 6.3 billion opportunity, with peak worldwide sales of 445 million by 2034. Under the agreement, Can-Fite is entitled to receive 50% royalties on worldwide sale on this indication. That means that Can-Fite upfront and royalty sales is projected to be 325 million in the next 10 years.
Your oncology drug candidate, namodenoson, was recently granted orphan drug designation for pancreatic cancer. What's the next milestone investors should expect with that program?
So today we achieved the first milestone with the first patient dosing in pancreatic cancer phase 2A clinical trial. We will enroll 20 patients in an open study in the US and Israel.
Of course, you know, Madi, pancreatic cancer, it's a very aggressive form of cancer. Tell us how namodenoson is differentiated from existing treatments.
Just as a background, in 2020, an estimated nearly 500,000 people were diagnosed with pancreatic cancer globally. Chemotherapeutic drugs have very limited effect in pancreatic cancer. The 5-year survival rate for people with pancreatic cancer in the US is only 11%. And the global pancreatic cancer therapeutic market was evaluated to be approximately 3.6 billion in 2021, and it's projected to grow approximately to 6.6 billion by 2030.
Now, in summary, Madi, what is the essential value proposition? Why should an investor take an interest in Can-Fite right now?
So, we have an oral drugs with proven safety and efficacy in pivotal phase 3 studies. Piclidenoson and namodenoson are phase 3 assets in psoriasis and liver cancer. Namodenoson showed strong efficacy in phase 2 MASH study, and is studied in exploratory phase 2A study in pancreatic cancer. We were able to monetize the advanced portfolio through corporate partnerships. Piclidenoson and namodenoson have been licensed out in selected territories with more than $20 million received to date, and potentially up to additional 130 million plus royalties. We have an intellectual property portfolio that consists of 15 patents family issued and pending to protect the different indications. And financially, we are well positioned. We have to conduct all the clinical development programs that I already presented to you.
Madi, thanks for sharing the Can-Fite story with us today.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, to get more information on Can-Fite Biopharma, visit canfinfo.com. You'll see research reports, fact sheets, presentations, and the latest videos. It's all free, and you can even subscribe to email alerts to stay on top of the latest news. You can also call 1-800-RedChip to speak to a specialist if you have any questions. We also have a free weekly newsletter you can subscribe to at redchip.com, featuring emerging growth companies like Can-Fite Biopharma. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, visit redchip.com and subscribe today. In addition to our newsletter, you can order Small Stocks, Big Money. This is a book written by RedChip CEO, featuring interviews with some of the biggest players on the microcap space. Get a digital copy on Amazon for $18. Now, let's recap the companies featured today. First, you met 60 Degrees Pharmaceuticals, SXTP on the NASDAQ. 60 Degree Pharmaceuticals is a growth-oriented biotechnology company with a goal of using cutting-edge biological science and applied research to further develop and commercialize new therapies for the prevention and treatment of infectious diseases. 60 Degrees Pharma has successfully achieved regulatory approval of Arakota, or tafenoquine, a malaria preventative treatment that has been on the market since late 2019. Currently, 60 Degrees Pharma's pipeline includes development programs for tafenoquine and kelgosivir targeting fungal, tick-borne, and other viral diseases. Learn more at www.sxtpinfo.com. Then you met Can-Fite Biopharma, CANF, on the New York Stock Exchange American. Can-Fite Biopharma is an advanced clinical stage drug development company with a platform of oral drugs designed to address multi-billion-dollar markets in the treatment of oncology and inflammatory diseases. The company's lead drug candidate, piclidenoson, recently reported top-line results in a phase 3 trial for psoriasis. Can-Fite's liver drug, namodenoson, is being evaluated in a phase 2b trial for the treatment of MASH and a phase 3 trial for hepatocellular carcinoma, or HCC. Also, the company is planning a phase 2a study in pancreatic cancer. Namodenoson has been granted orphan drug designation in the United States and Europe and fast track designation as a second-line treatment for HCC by the US FDA. Namodenoson has also shown proof of concept to potentially treat other cancers, among them colon, prostate, and melanoma. CF602, the company's third drug candidate, has shown efficacy in the treatment of erectile dysfunction. These drugs have an excellent safety profile with experience in more than 1,600 patients in clinical studies to date. Learn more at www.canfinfo.com. Don't forget to check out our stocks page. It is the biggest small-cap stock portal in the industry. Every company listed on the NASDAQ or New York Stock Exchange with market caps of $2 billion and less. And it's categorized by industries. Watch this show again and explore hundreds of small-cap stock videos on RedChip's YouTube channel. Also, be sure to sign up for our weekly newsletter and learn about a lot of small-cap companies. Also, go to our website and sign up on our events page for the webinar series. We have webinars every week, several a week, in which we feature small public companies, mostly client companies, and you'll hear straight from the CEO, and you'll be able to ask questions after that. Again, if you have any questions about any of our public companies featured on today's show, call us at 1-800-RedChip or email us at info@redchip.com. In closing, remember, while small caps can provide significant gains, you must be prepared for the downside. Small cap stocks are among the most volatile of asset classes. Some of the companies featured on this show are RedChip client companies, and we may own stock in these companies, so please always read our disclosures at redchip.com. Thank you for being with us today. We'll see you next week with some new, exciting, emerging growth companies.
Hello, my name is Kong Do. I'm the President and CEO of BioV. BioV trades on the NASDAQ under the ticker BIVI, and we are developing therapies for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, hopefully long COVID, and also ascites, which is a late-stage liver disease. Our lead candidate is bezisterim, which is a novel inhibitor of inflammation, which has shown in the clinic to help Alzheimer's patients experience a 68% slowing of cognitive decline after just 6 months of treatment. Bezisterim has also shown and helped Parkinson's patients experience greater motor control, particularly help them maintain muscle control first thing in the morning when the standard of care has worn off overnight. And we also recently received a $13 million grant to explore bezisterim in long COVID. Researchers have linked the symptoms of long COVID to inflammation. And since bezisterim is a novel inhibitor of inflammation, we believe this could potentially help patients who are suffering from the debilitating conditions associated with long COVID. So we aim to start that trials very soon. Our second drug is a drug called BIV201, which treats ascites, which is a late-stage liver disease that has a 50% mortality rate within 12 months. And we just received notification that we will be granted a patent for a novel formulation that we created for this drug, BIV201. So please learn more about our work from our website, biovipharma.com. That's BIOVIE pharma.com. Thank you very much.
Antimony is a critical mineral used in high-tech and the military, vital to America's national security and economy. But China and Russia control 80% of the world's supply. The U.S. government is rapidly securing a domestic supply of this critical mineral. Meet Nova Minerals, symbol NVA, with high-grade antimony discovered at its project in Alaska and prices at historic highs. Nova Minerals is on a mission to fully secure U.S. domestic supply of antimony. Nova Minerals, NVA.
20 million people annually end up in intensive care units and require mechanical ventilation. Now, Inspira Technologies, a NASDAQ company, symbol IINN, is developing a new technology that could disrupt the $19 billion mechanical ventilation market with an innovative life support system that elevates and stabilizes declining oxygen saturation levels without a ventilator. Inspira Technologies, stock symbol IINN.